Thanks. So let's start with BDA again, right? So we try to understand the difference between data, information, and knowledge, right? So I hope everyone is with me, and we are all on same platform, right? About data, information, and knowledge. A very basic one, right? But a very important difference, right? From interview perspective and from your understanding of the subject perspective as well, right? So everyone is with me. What is data? What is data? Yes, exactly. Plain facts, right? The very basic facts, right? When we put it into some organized manner, it becomes information, right? And using an employee table, we can just understand that this is the name of the employee, this is the salary he is getting, and this is his or her age, right? But there are those hidden patterns can be identified, right? So then when we extract such hidden knowledge which is there in the data or which is there in the information, it becomes a knowledge, and knowledge helps in decision making, right? And these decisions are not simple decisions, they are the decisions which are taken by the higher authorities, right? So it has to be done very precisely, right? So this is what we saw in the last class. Now with this note, I would like to give you one more example uh, of machine learning and BDA. We also discussed the difference between ML and BDA, right? I hope it is clear to everyone. So I guess you will have enough understanding about what you are going to learn in BDA and what you are going to learn on ML. If you have any doubts, any queries, please do let me know, right? But I guess we spent enough time in the last class on this, right? Now let me just uh, tell you one very important case study on this. So all of you have heard of Morgan Stanley? Yes or no? Have you heard of Morgan Stanley? What is it? Yes, Harsh is saying financial. Yes, exactly. So it is finance related company, right? Now, why am I talking? Because it is a finance background. Why am I talking about it here, right? So the reason is it's MNC basically. One of our student got recruited there, right? And what these guys are doing basically, they are just running some intelligent algorithm on some stock market data, and they try to extract very hidden facts and figures, right? And that's how they are earning a lot. And there are many such companies who are doing machine learning, who are doing big data analytics on such data. Of course they would not reveal their own algorithms, because that is their bread and butter, right? That is how they are making money. So they do not share it with common people. But this is the power of machine learning and big data analytics, right? Another example, very simple example, is all of you must have bought something from online platforms like Amazon, Myntra, Flipkart, and all, right? So did you notice that when you open, let's say, amazon.co.in, let's say, where you open this websites, you get lot of items and the suggestions, And these items many times are the items for which you have never searched for, or for which you have never ordered online, but still they are of your interest, and you get it in Amazon suggestions. So we are surprised sometimes, right? Have you all noticed this or not? Yes, right. So I repeat the scenario. When I visit Amazon, right, I get some item suggestions, and these are the items of my interest, of course. But for these items, I never searched on Amazon, right? Or I have never ordered it on any online platform, not only on Amazon, but on any online platform. I've never ordered this, but still I get it in item suggestions, right? You all must have noticed this, right? So how they are doing this? Any idea on this? How you are getting those suggestions? Okay. So, yes. So I'm getting multiple answers. So, yes. Um, Please understand. And now, because you are learning this subject, let me tell you this very frankly, that whatever online activity you are doing on any website, I say, I mean any website, not only on Amazon, each and every activity of yours is getting captured by someone, right? And that's the fact, right? So it's not that only on Amazon you searched for it in past, let's say before 2 3 years, so you are getting it in suggestions. No, that is not the case, right? Many times you may have searched for this item indirectly on some very different website, right? Probably on Google, but still you get it on Amazon because everything is linked, right? Please understand this. Each and every activity of yours is getting captured, right, by someone there, right? And that is the data that they are generating and they are analyzing, and that's how there are of course recommendation systems and all, but that's how they generate your item suggestions, which will be quite personalized, right? The item suggestions are of course not same, right? What I get as suggestions, you might be not getting it, right? You get a different items. So because my activity is different than yours, right? So um, every single click, every single mouse click, every single key press that we do online is getting captured, right? So I was just surprised in past, of course, not somehow they gave some suggestions related to my traveling and all. On Google I got it. So I booked the online ticket. I don't remember exactly on which platform, but they knew it and then they sent such suggestions, right? Even after COVID, when I visited the college for the first time, when I reached home back, right? They asked me how was Dharmasi Desai University, right? So they know where we are going even, right? Of course through GPS and all. So basically every activity that we do, even on YouTube, you may have observed this, right? When we all are watching a lot of videos, right? So you are getting some video suggestions, and these video suggestions are quite related to your interest. All of you have noticed this or not? YouTube video suggestions. Yes, right. They are quite interested videos for us, right? Whatever we get in suggestions, even on Netflix, right? You might be getting, though I have not used Netflix, but I know they are using it, right? So the movie suggestions, are they of your interest? What is your experience? Yes. So these people are doing what, right? They, everyone wants to increase their sales basically, right? So of course, if you are buying a mobile online, they would also give you mobile case and earphones and everything in suggestion, so that we buy that too with the mobile phone, right? So there are a lot of such experiences, right? The list is actually very long, right? Where they are using machine learning and they are increasing their sales, right? So even this is observed in offline case as well. Previously what happened is, we if I, let's say, want to buy a bread, I would just go to a bakery and then I would buy a bread and would straight away come back to home, right? These days that is not the case, right? What happens is, just to buy a bread, because DMart comes in my way, I would go to DMart, and then with bread there are a lot of other related items put together, so that I get tempted to buy those items as well, and usually our bill will never be less than 1000, 2000 when we come out of DMart, right? This is the observation. So there also they are using such strategies, marketing strategies and all. So how marketing strategies are designed, underlying thing is this machine learning only, right? This big data analytics only. So machine learning is about algorithms, but implementation of it on a larger scale, big data analytics come into picture. Without it you cannot do machine learning, right? So machine learning is about only intelligent algorithms. It doesn't talk about data, whereas BDA talks about everything together, algorithm and data together. And when I talk about petabytes of data, terabytes of data, hexabytes of data, right? Having equal knowledge of those tools and technology is very much important, because not all can do this, and that's the only reason why data scientists and data analysts are paid much higher salary compared to the normal software developer, right? So these are some examples that we are using in day-to-day basis, right? There are other case studies as well which we will take. Case studies are very interesting one, right? So gradually we will just uh, talk about various other case studies as well, right? So that is basically about BDA. So I hope all of you are with me till now. Now, before I proceed further with the syllabus, let me just clarify something. Uh, for this particular subject, practically, as I said, you need to set up everything, right? So there are lot of YouTube videos available, as I said, how to make dual boot system, or how to use how to have a Oracle VirtualBox and having Linux installed, or if you want to go ahead with Windows, that's also okay, right? So choice is yours, what setup you want to go with, right? So just be ready with the setups. And about lectures, do have a habit of making notes, because there are some things which we will not be able to share with you, telling you in advance, very frankly, right? The reason is the slides which I am going to show you currently, we have got it from the author, right? And we are instructed not to share it share it with anyone, otherwise nobody will buy a book, right? So these are some strategies, and we will have to follow it, right? Because of the copyright issues and all, right? So please have a habit of making notes, right? Be with me, and if you want to note down something, if you want me to slow down, you can just interrupt me without hesitation. But telling you in advance, I'll not be able to share everything here, right? So please make notes for this subject at least, right? Yes. So now let's go ahead with the first topic. Let me share my screen. Yes, all of you are getting my screen. Yes. So this is the agenda. That's topics which we are going to cover today, right? So types of digital data. So as I said, we have only been using and working with structured data till now, right? But there are other types of digital data as well, right? So structured is the one which we know and we are comfortable with it, and that's the most and best data. But we'll soon see the percentage as well. So what percentage it is available, right? So of course, it is not fully structured, but it is not absolutely unstructured as well. So that's the category. We call it semi-structured. We'll see of these three types of digital data. That is also something which we are going to discuss, right? So three types of digital data can be there: structured, semi-structured, and unstructured, right? So this is the classification. Now let's start understanding the percentage. So this is the approximate percentage distribution of our digital data, right? So the I guess the color is different here. The major portion of our digital data is belonging to unstructured category, right? So there might be a color problem. Let me just confirm it. Yes. So here, uh, the orange part which you see, which is 10 percentage here, this is semi-structured. The gray part which you see over here, 10%, it is structured data. And the major blue proportion which you see here, which is 80 percentage, it is unstructured. So unstructured, here it is said gray, and here it says blue, but that's the wrong coloring that has been given. The actual, I repeat, the actual percentage distribution is 10 percentage semi-structured, 10 percentage structured, and the major portion is of unstructured data. So that's the real fact. Is that clear to everyone? So major portion is of which category? Yes, absolutely. Right? So, whether we like it or not, but this is the fact, we'll have to deal with it, right? So the majority of the data that is available to you as a system analyst, when you start analyzing it, it is going to be in unstructured form, right? So that's again one more challenge which we'll have to face, right? So let's see structured data first. So what is structured data? So this is the data which is in an organized form, right? So we are very much familiar with this rows and column structure, right? So basically all our database systems which we have seen, MySQL and SQL Server and all, they belong to this category, right? So we know that single database contains multiple tables and there exist some relationships among them, primary key, foreign key relationships and all, right? So relationships exist between these entities of data, right? So this is our structured data. I guess I don't need to spend much time on this because we have already learned one entire subject on this, right? So data stored in databases is an um, example of this structured data. Now, which are other sources of structured data? So, as I said, databases are there like Oracle DB2, Teradata, MySQL, PostgreSQL. These are all structured data. Then we may have something in spreadsheets as well. That also is a structured form because anyway our Excel and spreadsheets are rows and columns only. So that also we can say is a structured data. And then OLTP systems. OLTP stands for what? Any idea? OLTP stands for full form of OLTP. Yes, exactly. Online transaction processing, right? So these systems also would have their data in the form of rows and columns only, right? So what is, can someone give an example of online transaction processing? Any example of OLTP? Yes. So see, basically, um, example of OLTP is any transaction that you do online, right? It may be bill paying or it may be order processing or anything, right? Basically, online financial transaction. So all these are the example of OLTP, online transactional processing. So the underlying structure of the data will be structured in that case. So all of you should be very much clear with OLTP and OLAP. OLAP will come to later on, right? So all these are sources, various sources of structured data, right? And going with the advantages of structured data, what advantages do we have with structured data? So, of course, insert, update, delete, and all will be quite easy, right? Because what do we do in case of database systems? We just fire a query, right? And things get added in a structured way, right? So, input, update, delete, everything is very straightforward. There is a security here, right? Compared to unstructured and semi-structured data, more security is there here. Indexing and searching can be easy, right? We have already learned this in DBMS, right? Um, Scalability is there, of course. In terms of BDA, we cannot say it is scalable, but they have just written this. in terms of, let's say, if you store something in normal text file, so in comparison to that, this is more scalable. And then transaction processing is there. So these are various good points of structured data. Going with semi-structured data, what is semi-structured data? So this is the data which does not conform to a data model, right? But it would have some structure in it, right? The very simple example is our emails, right? So we all know that emails, of course, it is not fully structured like our databases. But if you just copy things, you will have some structure, like you will have from, you will have to, you will have cc bcc if it is there, you will have subject of the email, you will have body of an email, and then if there are some attachments, it will be there, right? So there is some structure, though it is unstructured, but there is some structure in it, right? Also xml you have learned, so you all know that there are tags, right? And between these tags you are writing your data. So it is not fully structured, but at the same time it is not fully unstructured as well. There is some structure within, right? Again, a markup language is like html. So html file, if you just see the code, again it would have some tags. So it is not fully structured. It but there are some tags. So using tags you can understand that, okay, this is h1 tag and this is the end of h1 tag, so in between we have some header written, right? So there is some structure which you can identify from html as well, right? So these are the example of semi structured data, right? So these data, of course, um, it cannot be used by the computer easily, but if you do some pre-processing on it, probably then you are good to go with the processing part as well by the computer, right? So this is about semi-structured data, right? So sources of semi-structured data, as we have seen, xml, other markup languages, sorry, and JSON also we can say belongs to semi-structured data, right? Now the characteristics of semi-structured data, of course, the structure is not consistent, so there is inconsistent structure, but they are self-describing. By this what we mean is, if, as I said, if something is written within h1 tag, we understand that, okay, inside it we have header. Even in xml, if you have a student tag, right, between this, if you have written something, you can understand that this is the information of a student, right? So often schema information is blended with the data values, so there is no separate schema and data, it is blended with the data values itself, right? And data objects may have different attributes not known beforehand, so it is not needed that every data object will have some fixed number of attributes and fixed number of values. That is not possible, right? So different data objects can have different number of attributes and different number of data values. So this is the characteristic of semi-structured data, right? Now coming to the third category, which is unstructured data, right? So the highest percentage is of this category, as we have seen, right? So this is the data which does not conform to a data model, or is not in a form which can be easily used by the computer, right? So it does not follow any structure at all, right? And 80 to 90 percentage of the data of an organization belongs to this category. So here it is written, mentioned clearly, right? So there it was a color code problem. So majority of your data belongs to this category, unstructured. The examples are memos, chat rooms, the chats that we do, right? The PowerPoint presentations, images, videos, letters, researches, white papers, body of an email, etc. So it can be anything, right? So the absolutely unstructured data is there, right? So sources are many. All web pages, of course, belongs to this category. Images, free form text, audios, videos, body of an email, as we have seen, our text messages, our chats, our social media data, our word count, word document, right? So all of these are the sources of unstructured data, and we all know that these days we have majority of this data only, right? So that's the reason why the percentage is higher in this case, right? Now, issues with unstructured data or issues with the terminology. So structure can be implied despite not being formally defined. So the structure might not be defined, but it might be there implicitly. So we'll have to identify it as a data analyst, right? Data with some structure may still be labeled unstructured if the structure does not help with processing task at hand. What does this mean, right? This is, it is trying to say that some data may have some structure in it, right? But the task which we have taken at hand is very different than the way the data is given, right? So it is absolutely unstructured for us because the structure which is given is not helpful to us, right? So that that category of data is also considered as unstructured only, right? Data may have some structure or may even be highly structured in ways that are unanticipated or unannounced. So basically, some hidden structuring might be there, but explicitly it is not defined or announced, right? Hello, am I audible? Okay. Sorry, I got some interruption. Okay. So, we were talking about unstructured data, right? So, the three types of digital data we have talked about and their characteristics, and we have also concluded that the major portion is of unstructured data. So, anyway, we'll have to deal with it, right? So, it's not, see, when you are thinking to become a data analyst or data scientist, please don't assume that you are going to get good data always, right? So as a data analyst, as a data scientist, it is your responsibility to make your data clean. So we used to teach a lot of data pre-processing techniques. It's the entire chapter itself, right? But right now that is out of scope in BDA. We used to teach it in KD, but right now it is out of scope, right? So there are a lot of techniques for data cleaning, data transformation, and data reduction, and multiple techniques are there. I don't know, it is there in, I guess in machine learning it would be covered mostly, right? So as a data analyst, it is your duty to make your data the way you want, right? So you will have all three categories and you will have to make it the way you want, right? So on these unstructured data, we are going to apply data mining, we are going to apply NLP, natural language processing, we are going to apply text analytics, and we are going to apply noisy text analytics. So all of these things always they would have unstructured data, because NLP, you know what is NLP? Natural language processing is known to everyone or not? Mostly yes, one no. So okay, so natural language processing again is the entire different field of research. So many times we have seen that when we make some comments on Facebook, or when we type something on our WhatsApp chat, it is in our regional language, right? So we type Gujarati in English. Yes or no? Right? So if I want to say Kemche, I would say KEMCHHO question mark, right? And similar things happen on Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp, wherever a human is interacting, right? So our natural language comes into what we are posting as well. So that's a very challenging thing, right? So natural language processing basically is all about this. Example, this is just one example, but this is what we mean by natural language processing. So we will have such natural language, but we will have to extract the correct information from it. So that is very challenging. Sometimes we would uh, use sarcasm, and then extracting it becomes very difficult, right? So that's again a challenging field. Next one is text analytics. So analytics is all about analyzing our text data. So any in your Facebook posts and your Twitter posts and all those things which are available in the form of a text, right? We just try to analyze it, and we just try to conclude something from it. That's nothing but text analytics. So a very simple example is, let's say the some new movie is coming, and um, uh, before it gets released, right? It is discussed on social media a lot. So what is the sentiment of people about that movie, right? uh, if you want to analyze it, right, then it can be done very easily using text analytics. So whether the movie will be successful or not successful, that can be predicted in advance, right, just by seeing the sentiments of different people on social media. It is also another field of research called sentiment analysis. right? And then noisy text analytics. So basically all these are very related terms. Just for your reference, I am discussing, it is not in our syllabus for sure, right? So yes, so this is all about the different types of digital data. uh, there is one more case study. Please give me a moment. Yes, there is one more case study which I am going to discuss today. But before that, I would like all of you to realize that what amount of data we are generating as a social media user or as an internet user, right? So, anyone knows what amount of data is generated by your single click of a like button on Facebook? Any idea on this? You may Google. Or how much data is generated every minute on Facebook? You may Google and answer. Any answers? I just want you to realize what amount of data we are generating. Yes. So, uh, you can just get the facts and figures from Google very easily because it gets changed day every day. And if you see the graphs are also available. If you see the graph from 2015 to 2021, probably it is just increasing exponentially because more and more people are using smartphones these days, right? We didn't have smartphones in uh, our college time, right? But right now, even a 2 year child is operating a smartphone, right? So the time is running fast, and with the uh, lot of inventions in the technologies, more and more people are using internet, and so lot of data is getting generated, and the speed at which the data is increasing we cannot imagine even, right? So yes, 4 million posts every minute, right? 1.4 billion active monthly users, right? And we have lot of such platforms. It's not only about um, Facebook, of course, is the most widely used social media, but then we have Instagram, we have Snapchat, we have um, Twitter, and the list is long, right? So you can just Google for this how much data is generated every minute, or how much data is generated every day in 2021, and you will realize that what amount of data are we generating, right? So I don't remember the exact figure, but a single mouse click that we do on Facebook, we just click a like button, right? If we like someone's photo, we just click a like button, and the Facebook is getting huge number of like um button press every single minute, and this single mouse click generates huge amount of data every minute. So it is beyond our imagination even, right? So that much data is getting generated, right? So they are analyzing it for making their business larger and larger, right? So this is about social media generating data. Emails also, these days all communications are done through emails. There is a very nice interesting case study about Walmart. Have you all heard of Walmart? What is it? What is Walmart? From which country in it is, of which country? USA. So it is basically a retail store of USA, and a very popular one, right? Now these guys, how they make business, we can just understand this from this particular case study. So USA faces lot of natural calamities very frequently, like tornado and all, right? So there was one such um event or natural calamity which was about to occur. They call it hurricane. So it was just about to hit the USA, some particular area of USA. There Walmart was there, right? And Walmart, what they did, they analyzed in advance, because see, whenever we also had Taute, right, recently. So when Taute was about to hit, um, we all would become very much conscious about what we would need, because we might not be able to reach to the shops in recent days. Once the Taute hit, Taute was quite smaller one, but USA used to face the bigger one very frequently, right? So what you used to buy when you think that such things are going to hit your city, what would you buy to be safe? What people would buy, let me just make it generalized, what people would buy. Yes, food, grocery. We have faced this very recently. It should be there in your cache, right? When lockdown was about to, or it was declared, right? What did you buy first? Essentials, food, grocery. So I saw DMart fully packed, right? So this is the tendency of people, right? They would buy a lot when such things are about to happen. Yes, charged battery, of course, right? So when such things are about to happen, people buy a lot. This is the tendency. Now, Walmart people, these are very intelligent people, right? They did analytics on their past data, that whenever such things are about to happen, what people buy a lot, right? And their analytics was quite interesting, and they bought those items because their algorithms were telling them that these are the items which are bought very in huge quantity when such things are about to happen. So what they did is they stocked these items a lot, right? So would you like to know what was the item that they stocked a lot? It is a quite interesting thing. No, it was actually no. It was actually strawberry pop tarts, right? So, uh, of course, it is a very funny case study. So, they ran those intelligent algorithms which they had, and then their big data analytics said them that strawberry pop tarts is something which people buy a lot when such things happen, and they blindly trusted their algorithm, so they stocked a lot. They bought strawberry pop tarts in huge quantity, right? And surprisingly their entire stock was sold, and they made a huge profit during those days. Isn't it interesting? Right? So you can just see, you can just try to understand that if done properly it can do wonders, right? It can help people earn lot of money, it can help people grow their businesses a lot if done properly, right? So this was a very nice case study which I came across, and of course it is a true story, it's not a created one, it's a true story, right? You may google for this, right? So I guess that's where we should end here. I guess 11:40 is the end time, so that's where we would stop, and we'll continue in the next class.